can hear us loud and clearly from wherever you are tuned in from. It is the Capital Crunch, the last hour. Like I said, we're getting into a very, very interesting conversation in this hour. So you may want to, be very attentive, if you want to get a thing or two. Now, my guest for this hour is someone with an array of achievements that I would really need another show to just go through them only. But he is an award-winning inspirational speaker, is a life coach, is an author of 2 books, and he's one of the most sought-after young speakers in Africa, who was listed on the 2019 SADC Top 50 Most Promising Young Speakers. Like I said, he's got a host of achievements, but it doesn't come on a silver platter. There is a story, there is a journey behind all of that. I'm joined on the line by Tendai Dara. Good afternoon, Tendai, and welcome to Capital 100.5 FM.
Good afternoon, my brother. Thank you for having me.
Excellent. Now, let's get straight into conversation. I'm excited about this. I'm excited about talking about your journey because, like I said, you've got quite a number of achievements that would really need a lot of time for us to go through, but there has to be a story behind how you are where you are now. So let's talk just briefly about your journey and your upbringing, and if you ever envisioned yourself getting to this stage where you are now.
Okay, thank you very much, my brother. Yeah, so I was born and raised in the Eastern Island, so in Ndriwasu, and that's where I did my schooling until I finished advanced level study. So one thing that people don't know is that I was raised by a single mother who didn't have any formal education, but her biggest dream was for me to be well educated. So life was an easy, man, and I started paying for my school fees when I was in grade 7. I remember I once worked as a security guard for one of the biggest companies in Zimbabwe with the name I won't disclose, and that alone exposed me to a different part of the world than my peers. But to cut the long story short, my brother, my background made it almost impossible to be someone. But you know what? I defied the odds because I believe that there is something that is in me that the world was supposed to have. So I always knew that there is something special about what I was going through, and let alone, I kept on going because I remember that there's something deep inside me that would actually make the world a better place. But here is the funny fact: I always wanted to be a medical doctor. I loved biology more than anything else, and I was always at the top in my class. But however, I found myself doing commercials in advanced level studies, and that led me to take up the bachelor's degree in accounting, which I'm pursuing currently at NAS. So I never thought I would be an author, a bestseller author, by the way. Neither did I ever imagine myself becoming an inspirational speaker. But when grace locates you, no one would ignore that. So it's called the power of purpose, my brother. That's how I found myself where I am today.
Love it. The power of purpose.
Yes.
I like it. I really like it. Now, but perhaps, because I'm still struggling, even when I received this information, it took me time to quite understand the depth of what it means to be, listed on the top 50 most promising young speakers, by SADC, amongst most of your achievements. But that alone for me stands out as a very, very big achievement. And you're also an author.
Yes.
What do you attribute to everything you've achieved so far?
Yeah, so
what do you think is the reason?
Okay, thank you very much for that question. So I wouldn't be here without God. I attribute everything to God. He wasn't here physically, but trust me, he sent a lot of people, a lot of destiny helpers along the way. If I'm to look back, I met my secondary school headmaster, Mr. Chiburi, my lovely mother, who is always my hero, and everyone else around me. So all my achievements, they evolve around, the people that God sent in my life and the people that God removed in my life. And then secondly, I think it's time I also start, appreciating myself. I work really hard, man. I put in the hours, I spend sleepless nights if I want something to get done. So I worked so hard. And, one thing that I also want to thank myself for having achieved, just being able to pull through the, identity crisis that we have in our society. I remember growing up, some thought I would be a doctor, some wanted me to be an accountant, some actually saw a policeman and a soldier, but I said, no, I want to pursue what I'm passionate about. And then lastly, the Institute of Chartered Accountants in Zimbabwe. So by the way, I'm a beneficiary. I'm in my third year now, so I'm a beneficiary of the ICAS Scholarship Fund. And these people, they go out of their way to try and support the work that I do. They pay my travel fee sometimes when I'm traveling to the likes of India. In December last year, I was in Egypt. They pay all that. So these people are always there, and they believe in who I'm becoming. They believe in the vision and the legacy and the brand that I'm building. So these people, I owe them a lot, and they've been there. They've stood with me, and they will always be with me because they believe that what I'm doing is going to change the world. It's going to change Africa, and we are rewriting the story of Africa, man.
You speak with a lot of passion that I think, that alone shows the confidence, in what you want to achieve and what you want to do and the direction you want to take. And let's just speak a little bit about, the author in you. You are an author of two amazing books. That is The Success Pyramid and Turning Point. Just briefly get us into those books.
Okay, thank you very much. So my first book was titled The Success Pyramid. So this book is basically an integration of my life experiences. Like what I mentioned earlier, that growing up, I didn't have much, but I believe that I have a dream that I wanted to attain. So this book basically it gives us, it's based on the agency important theory, where we are trying to help young people to understand that in life there is time for everything. There is a verse in the Bible which says there is time and season for everything. So this is the basis of the success pyramid, and the concept that I used there is a concept that was used long back when these Egyptian pyramids were built. So surprisingly, I traveled to Egypt last year. I'd never been to Egypt, but when I wrote that, I wrote it with passion. I believed that I would be in Egypt at some point in my life. Then coming to the second book titled Turning Point. This book was basically talking about purpose. Like what I mentioned earlier, that I believe that we were created by God and for God. So Turning Point is a concept that looks at that point in life where you're going to say, I have done this, I have tried to probably pursue a dream that I thought is going to make me happy, but still I'm not happy. So a turning point is a point where you are rediscovering or actually discovering yourself for the first time. And then we are getting to say that moment where you're going to say, now I know what I'm doing and now I know what God wants me to be. So basically that's what these books are all about, but they are based on my Christian values. They are based on what I've gone through, because I believe that you can best advise about the things that you have gone through. You can't talk about where you have never been.
Way too lovely. Well, stay with us. We'll take a short break. When we come back, we continue with this amazing journey of Tendai Dara. You're tuning to Capitalk 100.4 FM. That's Heartbeat.
There are so many issues that affect us all. On Chewing the Card, we look at all angles on all issues so we get better understanding and a clearer picture. Make informed decisions about the issues by listening to Chewing the Card with Ruby Zaivenge on Capitalk 100.4 FM.
Thank you so much for staying with us on Capitalk 100.4 FM. We continue with our conversation. Like I said, I am with Tendai Dara, who is an author and who's one of the best motivational speakers you can get. And the most amazing thing about all this is that he's proud of Zimbabwean, and he is raising our flag high each and every moment. And it's something that we really need to be proud of. Now, I also understand tonight that one of your intentions is to introduce a holistic education approach in Africa, the one you call Afro-responsibility. Tell us more about that.
Okay, thank you very much. So a holistic approach to education has always been there. It's nothing new, but I think no one paid attention to this. So this takes into account, the various aspects of a learner, including the mind, the body, and the spirit, is different from what we do here in Africa, where we focus so much on the mind that people end up losing the spiritual aspects. They end up losing a deeper end in-depth revelation and understanding of themselves. So it gives us an attention to it gives more attention rather to experimental learning, and places significance on relationships and the primary human values in the learning environment. So let's bring it home. I know when you talk about Afro responsibility, people will think it's an African thing, but let's bring it home. So when you look at our education system in Zimbabwe, it focuses more on the mind, like what I mentioned earlier, and it reinforces a lot on theory. And in other ways, it actually shuts down issues to do with purpose, identity, passion, which means that, by the time a student graduates, all they know is what they learned in school and nothing else. But the sad truth is that society doesn't know a degree. Society knows someone who is well brought up, someone with integrity, someone with value. So my work basically is centered around restructuring curriculums so that it fits the current demands in Africa. So if you ever asked yourself why graduates are not employed here in Africa, we have a high rate of unemployment, yet the same people are highly demanded in countries like the United Kingdom, the United States, UAE, just to mention a few. So it's a food for thought. Why are our graduates not employable here in Africa, yet they are highly demanded out there? So when we focus on what Africa needs, we can come up with a curriculum that best fits the needs for us to promote Afro-responsibility. So Afro-responsibility is something that has always been there, but people simply believed in the Western culture. So this involves embracing one's identity as an African and taking the elements of an African culture to inform and direct, their sphere of life. So basically what I'm doing is try and make Africans understand that Afro solutions is the way to go. We can't, expect someone to come here and provide solutions to problems that we are going through each and every day. So I'm trying to, actually help nations and countries across Africa to get to understand that the reason why we don't have development and why our economies are not growing is because we are importing solutions, yet we should be having customized solutions because we are the ones that are going through this.
Afro solutions indeed are the way to go. Interesting, very interesting perspective there about how we should embrace our being African and, just realizing that, we always had this, but, it's time to change the page and turn the leaf and, make use of, what we have and, just restructure our brains in the right way. We've got a WhatsApp message coming through here that says, Tendai, I salute you. I remember some statement I heard when someone said that you have to completely die so that you can give birth to the new version of you. Imagine if you had stayed in your shell, telling yourself that you were never going to make it because wakakura usina. Thank you so much, 261, for coming through with that one. And, rightfully so, this guy is a testimony of what you can do. And like you're rightfully saying as well, it's all about realizing, your dream and, fighting until, that dream comes to life. Which really leads me to my next question, Tendai. I understand you have a passion for motivating the young ones and the youth. What are some of those things that you think, as the youth of today, we haven't quite understood about success, or really just realizing the dream, realizing the potential, and fighting until it comes to life?
Okay, thank you very much for that question. I love it. So I work with over 500 young people from different parts of the world, not Africa alone. And what I've discovered is that youth of today have a struggle for identity. I have gone through this and I know what it means. But I think what we need to understand as young people is that success is personal. But sadly, the majority, are trying to be Jack Ma, we are trying to be Barack Obama, we are trying to be Evusi Pembekwayo. It's very good to have a role model. I don't disagree with people who have role models. But the problem comes when you try to live like that role model. So, but there is no way, no matter how good you are in basketball, there is no way you can become a LeBron James. You can play like LeBron James, but you can never be a LeBron James. So I think it's always very important for young people to understand that success is personal. Success comes when you establish your identity. Then point number 2, success does not exist in a vacuum. I've seen so many young people trying to work so hard on their own, thinking that, I can do it, I can make it on my own. But success exists in the heart of man. So if Strive Masiwa decides to give you, let's say, 5 million today, you automatically become a millionaire, although not a self-made one. So my point is that, when you create useful and productive networks, then you actually become successful. And you will never make it alone, like what I mentioned earlier. Competition is very good. I don't disagree with people who compete, but I think the most important thing over competition is collaboration. And then the third point would be to do with resources. I've seen so many young people saying, I don't have enough, the economy is like this, but I don't believe we will never have enough. I had an opportunity to meet my mother from Nigeria when I went to Egypt. When you meet these people who are successful, they will tell you that, when I started, I had nothing. So I think young people have this mentality where they think, for me to start acting, I need to be having enough. But trust me, enough is just a word, and it will never, come to life. So you need to understand that the gap between who you are and, who you want to become is filled with complaints, to do with resources, to do with, people look down upon me, people don't believe in me. These are some of the things that embrace and, that actually sort of like are stopping young people from becoming successful. Then lastly, I would say invest your time and resources in what you know. Don't say because Tendai is making money from forex trading, as an example, so I have to do the same for me to be like him. I always love this statement which trends on social media, which says it will end in tears. When you invest in something you don't know, you will definitely lose control because you are doing this for the money and not out of passion. So make a standard for yourself to always invest in something that you love, and something that you know how to do it, and you will definitely become successful.
Well spoken, and well articulated as well. And I'm thinking, semi-youth, I hope, Kuti, there are youth out there who are listening to this. We need to take a leaf off what you are saying. Now, do you think the youth have enough support, to realize their potential and their dreams, or do you think it's even about support, or it's really about, uniting as the youth, like you're saying?
Yeah, so thank you very much. So to be honest, I'm a young person in Zimbabwe and in Africa. I wouldn't want to lie simply because I found my way out of the problems and the circumstances that I was going through. Young people don't have enough, and the sad truth is that they will never have enough, like what I mentioned earlier, because enough doesn't exist. So if you look at all the successful businesses, they were built by people who were bold enough to say, I'm starting, no matter the little that I have, I'm going to start even if the world doesn't believe in me. Because it's your vision and people will never see it. It was given to you by God. So don't expect everyone to comprehend it the same way you do. So young people don't have enough. I agree, but it's normal, and I understand people have complained. But the question is, when you have a complaint, then what next? Would you want to die complaining? Would you want to take action? Would you want to stand up and say, I'm going to stand against the odds and actually start realizing my dreams? So young people will never be enough. The economy will never be conducive enough. This is why we have failed. People who fail in countries like the United Kingdom, Rwanda, one of the fastest growing economies in Africa. People still fail, although they have enough resources and government support. So you need to start from where you are with what you have if you want to become someone successful. So one of the things that I always hammer on when I'm talking to young people is to say, you will never become a completely new person, like what you mentioned earlier. For you to become someone new, you need to die. You need to die before you give birth to a new person. For you to start pursuing your dream, you need to kill that old you that was procrastinating, that old you that is no his or identity, that old you who thought that in Zimbabwe you will never become successful. So it's all about the mentality. Having enough and not having enough is an issue of the mindset. Use what you have. If you have an idea, have conversation, collaborate. I always love to say, although it's a funny statement, but when two people with ideas meet, their ideas will have sex, they will reproduce, and those people become unstoppable.
Excellent. Way too nice. Now, you've achieved quite a lot so far in your life, and obviously there is more to come. But what next for you? After what you've achieved so far, in the near future, what's next for you? Can we expect more books? Can we expect, more breaking records like you have been doing?
Definitely. I always believe there is no limit. As long as you believe in what you are doing, as long as you have this inner drive and conviction to say, I'm going to become that person, then you will definitely become that person. So in terms of writing, expect more books to come. Projects, there are so many projects that are underway. I introduced a show called Successport, where I've been interviewing young people who are successful from different parts of the world, just getting people to know that age is not an excuse. I'm 24. I've traveled to more than 10 countries at age 24, which means you can do the same. You are not supposed to be complaining. So there are so many projects coming. I've recently launched a mentorship program for young people in Southern Africa, specifically students. We continue to work each and every hard because I believe that, when you work hard and speak to young people, they get to understand that they can do the same. So I want to make sure that by age 30, before people start saying, he's old enough to have all those achievements, I have enough to convince young people to say, guys, I'm your age, so you can do what I've done. And then lastly, I've launched another program for authors in Zimbabwe where we are trying to promote local content. It's a project underway, but it's also under Success Post. And I'm expecting to see a very good response, see young people coming with ideas, with their books, manuscripts, and let's help them to get people to know what they're doing. It's very easy to become a bestseller author. It's not about Zimbabwe, by the way. It's about you. What are you doing? How are you contributing to your own dream? Because you never expect someone to come and build your dream if you're not doing anything. So I always say, in conclusion, I will talk until you forever. I always say that if you don't get busy, if you don't build your dream, people like us will hire you and you will help us to build our dream. Thank you.
Excellent. Well spoken as well. Tendai, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. And I'm really just hoping that the youth out there are listening and you motivated someone this afternoon.
I hope so too. Thank you very much, Capitalk, for having me. It's always a pleasure speaking to young people in Zimbabwe, to be specific, because I wouldn't want to establish a good name out there and leave young people in Zimbabwe doing nothing. So thank you very much for the opportunity and for the time.
Excellent. Keep on raising the Zimbabwean flag high.
Thank you very much.